Family.
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 Family. Family.
Family. Family. Family. Family.
I didn't want to mess with the microphone. Family.
Most important thing.
The most important thing. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Is family.
It's family. And Corona. The beer.
I was like,
oh. Corona beers. No.
Takes on a different name. You got to be specific about that.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that.
This is Research, Rank, Repeat. I am co-host Hannah.
I am co-host Alyssa.
The day has come.
The day has finally come.
And it's fast.
Furious. And Roman numerals.
Roman. Not to be confused with Roman.
Also in this movie.
It's Fast X.
It's Fast X. It finally came out.
Yes. Long awaited. We've been waiting a long time for this.
So, if you haven't listened to our episodes yet, we covered the entirety of the Fast and the Furious franchise almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
It was a time. We learned a lot because we are not car people and had really not seen much of the series before that point. But now we're all in.
Yes.
We have to watch every movie that comes out, unfortunately.
We have to go to the movie theater.
Yes. Fast X came out. We saw it 2 days after it premiered.
Yes.
This is obviously not going to come out immediately, so... But yeah, we're here.
We're not any better for seeing it.
No.
I will say, it is fun to go to the movie theater for these kind of things.
I agree.
A couple years ago, would I ever have gone and seen Fast X or F9 in theaters? No.
Absolutely not.
But honestly, being at the theater makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
It does. I would agree. I think it makes the the spectacle, like the big action like set pieces, I think it makes them more entertaining.
Yeah.
In a big theater.
But yeah, let's do some background and then we can get into our thoughts.
Sure. So something I thought might be interesting to do is, because we saw F9 also opening weekend, we didn't have any of the specific numbers, reviews, and reception. So I just went back and I found the box office numbers for F9. So in total, it made $729 million. It was the 5th highest grossing movie of 2021. We have to keep in mind that this is also around the time when movie theaters started to kind of become a normal thing again, because 2020 things either weren't in theaters or they were making very little money. Mm-hmm. So it is about in the middle of the pack of like the Fast and Furious franchise in terms of total revenue, but I think that there are some external factors that contributed to a lower gross than some of the other new ones. Overall, it had a 59% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 58 out of 100 on Metacritic, and a cinema score of B. Oh my god, you know what I didn't do is write a summary. I can do it on the spot. So, going on to Fast X. So, it is rated PG-13, has a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes, and was released in the US 2023, May 19th. So it was directed by Louis Leterrier. I'm not sure. He's French, I do know that. Written by Dan Mazian, Justin Lin, and Zach Dean. So this film has been planned since 2014, and it has been planned as a 2-part finale since 2020. And then as of May 2023, it is now planned as a 3-part finale. So this movie is being split into 3 movies.
Yes.
The long-awaited 3-part finale.
Yes.
Because Hollywood got on the trend of the 2-part finales for books. We had that for the Harry Potters, the Twilights, the Hunger Games. Yes. 3. 3 is the magic number. Magic number 3.
What's one more Fast and Furious movie in our lives?
So I have some tea about the filming of this movie. So Justin Lin, who has directed, I think, 4 of the films, and he's written and produced and been involved for quite a while, he was supposed to direct this film, and he started as the director, and he left after 1 week of filming due to, and I say in quote, creative differences. Apparently, from sources, Justin Lin and Vin Diesel were clashing. They weren't getting along. Because apparently Vin Diesel was showing up late. He came to work out of shape, so he wasn't ready to do some of the stunt work. and was like trying to make changes to the script. And apparently Justin Lin said, quote, "This movie is not worth my mental health," which respect.
Yes,
I respect
we love
that.
May is Mental Health Month.
Yes. And then he left. And so he still has a writing and producing credit, but the director who came on, Louis Leterrier, he had not directed any films in this franchise before. They tried to get a bunch of other previous directors, but people were already working on other things or didn't want to commit to that. And he said he used a lot of Justin Lin's like established things that he was going to do, and like directing notes and shots and things to help, because he's like, I don't think I could have done it.
Do we think that Justin Lin is done? Like, do you think he'll come back for future movies?
I don't know.
Because
here's my thought. The Rock and Vin Diesel have reportedly clashed and not gotten along, and The Rock said he was not going to come back.
And then he did.
For 10 or any previous films, and then, spoiler alert, he's in an end credits scene, and he's going to be in the next movie.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, it's possible he could come back, but I think Vin Diesel is maybe the one who is causing issues.
I mean, at a certain point, if you're the one who's always in the conflicts, you gotta think it's gotta be that person. So
now, I think for the most part, it's hard when an actor also has so much, because Vin Diesel's a producer.
Yeah, he's credited.
He's credited as a producer. He's very involved with the production, and I think when you're also an actor, it can be very hard to work, as a director specifically, to be able to work with someone who you're trying to direct, but they are pushing back.
They're also part of the creative process. Yes, I agree.
So one thing, though, I will say that I do give Vin Diesel credit for is apparently in the original script, Mia's character was not in it. And Vin Diesel pushed for her to be in the movie. So I can respect that. Because she's made comments before about how she was upset because she had gotten left out of 8, and she was like, even though, like, my husband is, gone, that doesn't mean that you should be written out. Right.
I agree.
This film is the 8th most expensive film ever made. I think I read that the production costs were like 5 times higher than F9.
Yeah.
It had a $340 million production budget, which is a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Apparently, they will have to make $800 million to turn profit.
Okay.
If they want to make profit on this film, it has to make at least $800 million, which the last movie didn't make $800 million.
So it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be interesting to see if they pass that now that there's not really the COVID barrier.
Right.
And it'll depend on,
we went Saturday night in a very small town area.
Pretty small theater, yeah.
But it was like pretty...
Yeah, it wasn't like full.
It wasn't full, but it was. There was a decent amount of people.
So far, as of like opening weekend, which it's not even done yet, it's made $60 million worldwide so far. And that's part of opening weekend.
Yeah, not... Because it probably didn't include all of Saturday, because we had seen it,
So the sequel, the second Fast X Part 2, is scheduled for 2025, so not even next year.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this, but this movie, Fast X, ends on a cliffhanger.
Basically, all the characters' fates are up in the air.
It's a cliffhanger.
You don't really know where
everyone.
anyone's at. Yeah.
So the fact that they're making you wait 2 years for it feels a little... I have thoughts.
It's interesting, but it's also, unless you're going to film both movies and
because they haven't even started filming
yet. Able to release them or film while you're filming, you can't. It's different with a TV show where you could film and then film and put it out consecutive years, but with movies it gets a lot harder.
The way that I think of it, Hannah, is every movie that in the mid 2010s, when it was really popular to do a 2-part book finale, all of those came out the year after.
Right.
So I feel like I don't know what that's going to do to the movie in terms of like holding on to that, like
people wanting to see. It's interesting because, well, it is, like you said, one of the highest budget films, so I imagine that plays into it. Obviously, they do a lot of stunt. They try not to do a ton of CGI in these movies, so they do a lot of their own stunt work, so I'm sure that also factors into a time frame.
And so, something that they said for this film specifically is that for every car that's in the movie, they make 7 duplicates.
Okay.
So they have a bunch to work with in terms of, like, destroying or, like, using for stunts and things. So around 200 vehicles were made for the film specifically. And this is actually the first of the series to have an electric car.
That's cool.
2024 Dodge Charger is an electric vehicle, and that was included in the film. I took one quote from a reviewer that I thought was probably the most impactful for me. From Alison Wilmore from Vulture. She said, quote, "Watching Fast X feels like sustaining a head injury." And I was like, all right, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's accurate.
So as of now, Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 54%, 55 out of 100 on Metacritic, and a cinema score of B. So it's pretty comparable to what F9 would ultimately end up with, which I thought was interesting. I have to apologize in that I completely forgot to write a summary, so I'm going to just word of mouth summarize it. I'm going to take a little bit of a sip of coffee and just get into the zone. AutoZone.
AutoZone. Wow.
Wow. How can you choose who to save when family's on the line? Khal Drogo is here for revenge after his father was killed in the 5th movie of the franchise in a scene that didn't exist when that movie was filmed, but they went back and retconned it. You know, as they do with every film up at this point. And he's trying to kill the family. Everyone is separated across the world. Cameos aplenty. And Vin Diesel is off on his own. Asking himself the age-old question: how many times can one person say family in a film? And how long can two people stand in front of a breaking dam before they've realized they need to move out of the way? All right, that's what I got.
How many times was family said?
Yeah, so I kept a family counter when we went to the movie theater. I thought that would be interesting to see how many times the word family and familia would be said. And I had to really keep track. I got 28 times the word family was said, and I might have missed some. I tried my best, you know. Sometimes it was like 6 in the span of about 1 minute, so I was just constantly writing all over my page tally marks. And then Hannah also had a Corona counter.
Yeah, sad to report, there's only one scene that had Coronas.
Yeah.
They did have a scene with Stella Artois.
They did have a Stella scene.
But, yeah, we had one scene with Coronas, but we did get to see Dom grasp that Corona.
We did get him necking that Corona.
Yes. Here's what I'll say as like a overview.
And also, we're gonna go all spoilers in. So if you're listening to this and you don't want any spoilers, probably don't listen to this. Come back in like 15 minutes at the very end when we rank it and stuff.
You should drive to those theaters and watch the movie
if it matters to you. If not, feel free to listen.
Don't watch it. Don't waste your money.
Yeah.
I will say that this movie was funny at times.
I would agree.
I laughed a couple times. I think that there were some really cool scenes they did.
I agree. Some really cool
stunt work. And I watched an Instagram video that got put out about the scene with like the giant bomb rolling through Rome, and they try and do like as little CGI as they can. So it's cool to see some of those scenes. I will say I appreciate they did have a lot of cars in this movie. We've had some complaints in the past about not having a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fun movie. I will say my biggest issue was the writing at times was very not good. I will also say it felt very disjointed. Mm-hmm. It's hard though because it's meant to be like a 2 or 3 part movie, so I get the disjointedness with that. But I wish certain characters would have gotten a little bit more screen time, but I don't know what they're planning on doing with future movies. So it's kind of hard to say. But I think overall that's where I'm at.
Okay. I agree with most of what you're saying. I think the action pieces, were well done. Mm-hmm. I really liked the Rome scene. Yes. I thought that was really fun. It had everyone together. You've got, like, Letty's on a motorcycle chase, and they're all together but doing different things to kind of stop this ball from blowing up the Vatican. That was what I was going to do in my summary, is that Vin Diesel saved Jesus.
Yes, Vin Diesel saved
Vin Diesel saved the Vatican. He is
Christ the Redeemer.
He is Christ the Redeemer. He will not burn in hell. And so I really liked that kind of stuff. I agree. The writing is rough.
Yeah.
Partly because this is like a part 1 of a finale. I think a lot of it will depend on how the second part goes. And I guess now the third part, because it's a 3-part finale, which is stupid. Because I think the main problem I have with the writing, and I read on somewhere online, like some people were talking about it, and they were like, if you don't go in thinking too much, you'll have fun. Like, if you try to like really think logistically how everyone is defying gravity, like Elphaba.
Yes.
A lot of the characters defying gravity, flying out here, and children jumping between cars at top speeds, because that makes sense. I think my main problem is that a lot of the characters were used as setup.
Yes.
And not really given a story.
Yes.
Because the stuff with Roman and Taj and Ramsey and Han, they kind of just existed in this film.
They were there to move like a subplot along.
Yeah, like their story was so not... Like, if it wasn't in the movie, you would lose nothing.
Right.
Because they don't drive. And after the first Vatican bomb scene, which takes place the first 30 minutes of the film.
It's literally the beginning, yes.
After that point, they have no relevance. They aren't driving, they aren't doing any heisting, they are not involved in the main plot.
Right.
Same thing with Letty and Cypher. It's the same sort of thing. I liked the scenes with them together, but it had no relevance to the plot of this movie. Same with Jason Statham. Jason Statham shows up, like, I don't know, maybe 2 hours into the film.
Yep.
Shows up for 5 minutes and then is gone. Set up for the next movie. So I think my main problem is they had a huge cast.
Yes.
Same with Mia, same thing. Like, she's in very beginning, only there for a bit, gone.
And then gone, yep.
And they're setting up for the other movies, but I almost wish they would have saved, like, the Jason Statham, I wish they would have pushed that to the next movie.
Yeah, just save it. Maybe because they wanted him to be in the movie.
Because we didn't need that scene.
That wasn't
like,
relevant to this movie at
all. I think the problem is they had set up that end scene where Han is at the door with Jason Statham in F9. That was the end credit scene. So they had to include it.
They can't just not put that in,
But it's like, I would have been happy. I think it would have been better if that had just gone to the next movie. But they really were setting up. I will say, however, Jason Momoa was so fun.
Yeah.
So, like, he's in his Joker era. Every scene he was in, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, he was carried this movie. He seemed like he was having so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the thing that gets weird sometimes, is it seems like everyone else is having so much fun on this set, except for Vin Diesel.
Right.
Like, he takes it seems like, I don't know, and I could be wrong, it just seems like he takes it so seriously.
Right.
Where everyone else is just, like, having a good time.
Like, joking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Dante, who is Jason Momoa's character, I think he's a very compelling villain.
Oh, yeah.
He's sort of got that, like, psychopathic tendency villain, which... it can work like the Joker. Like, we've seen villains like that really work. And so I think he's very compelling. I agree his scenes. I will say, every scene that had John Cena in it, too.
Also fun.
I was like, it's fun. Like, we mentioned this last time. Like, John Cena, not the greatest actor, but he buys into what he's doing, and that makes it fun.
Yeah, I rewatched F9 a couple days ago because I just couldn't remember anything. Right. And he is so, like, deadpan serious in that film. Like, he's not having fun. He's like, I'm here, like, we have
revenge. He's like the revengeful.
Vin Diesel and him are, like, you know, Dom and him are at odds. Dom and Jacob, But in this one, he's just here to have fun. Yeah. And honestly, I liked that.
It was entertaining. His scenes, I really liked his scenes with Dom's son, Brian.
Yes.
I thought the two, like, played well together. Were some of the stunts ridiculous? Was Vin Diesel driving into a crane with his car absolutely insane? Yes. Was Brian jumping out of his car insane? Yes.
You know, like he said, you could take my family, but you didn't take my car.
Yeah.
You didn't take his car.
How do we feel about...
Jacob's not dead.
No. Okay, so Gal Gadot,
Giselle.
Giselle's character shows up at the end.
So basically what this movie is setting up, which I think is what's going to happen in, I guess, the second and third parts, is they basically are saying... anyone who's ever helped them, like Dom's crew, is in danger, which includes, I guess, Giselle, who's now alive.
Who's alive.
Even though she died in,
she had a Han comeback.
6? She died in 6?
I think so, 6.
Okay. Yeah. Even though she died. She didn't, apparently.
I think...
she's working with Cypher, I guess.
She's going to be with Cypher and Letty now. I think that it's interesting... when you wrap up movies, they like to... make sure all the characters, even past characters, get like a send-off.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what they're doing, but
Maybe.
yeah, she was dead as far as we knew. But Jacob apparently is dead.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself to stop cars coming after Dom and his son, but he didn't need to do that.
Right.
So
because that didn't really benefit because there was a bunch of
So I'm just going to go on the assumption he's not dead.
Right.
We didn't, we just saw an explosion, and he can get out of explosion.
Yeah.
And everyone left on a cliffhanger. So let's see where we left everyone off. So Dom and his son drove down a dam, nosed out of there,
which
somehow.
I had a lot of questions about that scene, but I'm not going to ask. I did too.
But anyway, so then they made it to the bottom. A-okay, no injuries. And the dam is, again, I was waiting in my seat. I'm like, you got to move. This dam's about to break.
Well, now it's exploding.
But yeah, so anyway, Dante said it with charges, so now it is actively exploding.
Mia is going to Brian and the kids.
Yes. So we have no update on that.
Right.
Ramsey, Taj, Han, and Roman were in a plane that got shot by
they're apparently
the agent.
Dead.
Apparently dead, in quotes.
We don't know where they are.
Oh, yeah, we talked. Brie Larson plays Kurt Russell's daughter. Because Kurt Russell is also apparently missing.
So
in quotes. I thought he had died in the last movie, but...
I thought her character was interesting.
I thought it was, but again, I think she didn't get enough to do.
She didn't really get a lot to do.
Because she just kind of... She helped Letty, and then had a scene with Dom, and then got shot.
I'm assuming she'll come back
I would assume
in the other movie. So anyway, she was shot. She was taken to the hospital.
Yeah. We have Elena, her sister.
Yes.
Named, I wrote it down somewhere. Isabel.
Yep.
Yeah. She is a character.
She's with Brie Larson's character right now.
Going to the hospital.
And then you have Letty, Cypher, and Giselle are in the Antarctica.
They're in that submarine from 8.
Jacob is apparently dead.
Oh, Jason Statham is going for his mom.
Helen Mirren.
Yeah. I don't know if Luke Evans, did he die? He's probably going to come back.
I can't remember, but...
It's Jason Statham's brother.
Right, and then we end the movie with Hobbs being found...
Right.
By the agency.
Yeah. So The Rock is back.
So when we end this movie, we don't know anyone's fate.
No.
But also, it's a multi-part, so that's not that shocking.
They're not going to kill Vin Diesel in a damn accident.
Right.
But that brings us to a good point, Hannah, is what I've been thinking a lot about. If they are setting this up that he's going after everyone that's ever helped them, how are any of these characters going to have good storylines if you are bloating the cast to the point where you're bringing back people who are dead?
Right.
Because I'm assuming people from even earlier films. Because I was like, Vince technically died, but what if he's not dead?
Right. And we talked about Eva
Mendes. Because she was in 2, and I think I was telling Hannah, she had a scene with Kurt Russell in one of the later films, like maybe 7 or 8 or something. I don't know if, what's her name? Hattie, Shaw's sister.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was in Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah. I don't know if she's going to make an appearance. Ryan Reynolds, maybe. I don't know.
Hattie wasn't Ronda Rousey, was she?
No.
Okay.
I don't remember what actress she was.
Sister. It is interesting because I think a movie that already has issues with being able to write good scripts. I worry that a lot of characters won't get like a proper close send off.
I agree.
Because there's so many.
So, yeah, because that's the thing. I'm like, maybe what they're doing in terms of, like, John Cena.
Right.
They kill Jacob in 10, so they don't have to pay him to be in 11, and then he can come back in 12.
So they can save some storyline for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can come back later, and he's like, oh, by the way, he's fine, you know.
That could be true.
But I'm just like, man, I don't see a way that we can cohesively make this work. And maybe that's why they changed it to 2. Maybe that's why they want
2 extra movies.
But I'm just like, I feel like you're going to get these 3 parts that don't really cohesively work together because you just have so many characters. You have to, like, assemble them together.
I mean, maybe we'll be surprised.
Maybe.
I think what's ultimately going to happen in the end is they're all going to come together.
Because I will say the one thing I think this film lacked in is after that initial set piece, the Vatican, which honestly I really liked that. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
We don't really get any other like scenes like that except with Vin Diesel. He's the only one who gets any racing. Everyone else is off doing other things, and then, like, John Cena comes in at the end with Brian, Vin Diesel's son, but there's nobody else is getting to do, like, Han doesn't get to race again.
Right.
I really hated that scene where Jason Statham's like, can you still drive?
Right.
And then he doesn't even drive.
He just, like, drives into a couple guys.
Yeah. And so, like, nobody is doing any racing or, like, heisting or anything. They just kind of, like, are existing, all the other characters.
Yeah.
And I thought that felt kind of weird. Like,
I think the reason why the Vatican scene was so good is because my favorite scenes in this franchise is when the group's all working together.
Right. I think that's when it works best.
When they're, like, just doing random side plots, it kind of doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
but,
so I mean, that was the one thing that I was like, I get why they had Dom, like, isolated from his family.
Yeah.
I get the act of that, and really it was mainly him and Dante's revenge plot.
Right.
But that I think they could have found a way to make that work better.
I mean, maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, maybe.
I was going to just say, I think if Dante wasn't such a compelling villain, the movie would have been a lot harder to watch.
I agree.
Because I think even though there was a lot of, like, very heavy, like, Dante-Dom focus, I feel like him being so compelling made it work.
I agree. I think that if he wasn't a good villain, like, if he was the Luke Evans, I wouldn't have liked this film at all. It wouldn't have really been interesting, but I thought that part worked really well. Yeah.
So favorite character, I went with Dante.
I did too.
I said side note Jacob just because I enjoyed all of his scenes. But Dante was just, Jason Momoa did a really good job. He's just a very compelling villain and very, like, eerie.
Yes.
Because he's so, like, there's a scene
you don't know
where
what to expect. Yeah.
He's got, like, 2 dead bodies and he's, like, painting their toenails and their faces are all taped, and it's like Weekend at Bernie's, but like the R-rated version.
Yeah, the gross version of Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, so like I felt like he was a very compelling villain, and like I bought into him.
I did too. Yeah, I thought he did, because normally I feel like he has a more stoic, like, because he's Aquaman and Khal Drogo and is relatively more serious. So I really like this kind of like silly, like sadistic like kind of villain. Yeah, I thought that was really, really well done. I thought he did a really good job in the role. I'm glad he seemed to have fun with it.
Yeah. Favorite line? I wrote 2.
Okay.
I wrote, everyone becomes family. It's like a cult with cars.
Yep.
And I also wrote, I don't give a shit about anyone's heart of gold, and I hate barbecues.
I wrote down, I wrote it in the theater, I wrote, it's like a cult with cars.
Yes.
And it's one of the agents.
It's Alan Richardson.
I don't know what his name was, but he's like an agent who double crosses. Like, you think he's
I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, I did too. It's like, you think he's going to join the family, but then, oh no, he's working with Dante.
I don't trust a man who's that tan.
No, he's too tan.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite scene. I said the whole Rome
Vatican
scene. Yeah. Specifically, though, the part with Letty and Jason Momoa on their motorcycles, because they did some really cool motorcycle tricks. They did some cool tricks,
yeah.
Yeah, and there was a part where, like, Letty, like, stopped and, like, jumped over something. And I was agree. I thought that, the whole scene, though, just, like, everyone meshed together, I thought that was really cool.
I agree. I really liked the Vatican, especially once the ball had started rolling out of the truck. I thought it was really well done.
Car. I wrote the 2003 Lamborghini Gallardo. It was a gold car that Roman drove.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked really cool. There was a couple though. Jason Momoa's purple.
That was my runner-up. It was a Chevy Impala.
Yeah. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah, the Impala was my second one. I almost picked Dante's car, the purple one, but I ended up going with it's a 1975 Nissan Datsun 240Z. It's like a yellow-orange car that's driven by Isabel in the street race.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like one scene with a street race where Jason Momoa is blowing people up, which is very entertaining.
Yeah, it was.
But I liked her car a lot. But I almost picked the Impala. That one was a close one. A lot of good cars, though.
Yeah, I will say the cars were like, it was hard to pick, which is always nice. Okay, so in terms of ranking, this is very rough. But I think for now, because I cannot remember anything that happened in Fast and Furious 6, I would put it at number 8, which would make number 7 Fate of the Furious and number 9 Fast and the Furious 6.
Okay.
Just because I can't remember what happened in those lower movies.
That's interesting. So I ranked it 4th.
Oh.
I really like Dante.
Okay.
He's like one of the most compelling villains of any of the movies. So that really is the only reason it's that high. So I watched F9, and I changed the ranking of F9. So it used to be 3rd. So I changed it to be 5th. Like in between, so the Fast and the Furious was above it. Yes. And then I think So now F9 is in 6th place. And so Fast X is, I have it below Furious 7, which I have in 3rd. And then it's above the Fast and the Furious is number 5 now. So I put it right there for now. It'll really depend on how the next movie goes.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think I'll have to wait for that to see. But really, it was because I feel like, especially in these newer films, a lot of the time, the problem that I have is with, like, the overarching villain is not necessarily that interesting.
Compelling, yeah.
I think the best one was Jason Statham otherwise, when he was the villain, and that was F7, I believe, right? Like, Cypher I like, but I wasn't like, she's amazing,
because she's more of like a tech villain.
Yeah.
Like, she's not as intimidating, I feel like. Yeah, I think it's hard.
And it might shift.
I think it's hard for me because I just had big issues with, like, the writing and with, like, the overall story. But I would have to, honestly, I'd probably have to rewatch a lot of these movies because I've only seen them one time. We will be back with those movies when they eventually come out.
Yeah, in 2025.
We have our Instagram, our Twitter, Gmail, r3podcast@gmail.com.
We also have Letterboxd. We'll be updating that, or I'll be updating that at some point, maybe today or tomorrow. Maybe we'll write a little review, give it a little rating, confer with Hannah and see. So you can check that out if you want.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We would like to thank Joseph McDade for our intro music. He provides free music available for all kinds of creative use. The song that we used is called Sunrise Expedition, and you can find it and his other music on his website, josephmcdade.com. If you would like to reach us, you can email us at r3podcasts@gmail.com. That's R, the number 3, podcasts@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Instagram by searching Research, Rank, Repeat.